Make sure to check out my Patreon for exclusive videos never before seen on YouTube. And don't forget to also check out the memberships on my channel page to join and gain access to perks and see videos early. Make sure to click the subscribe button and hit the bell and be notified of new videos. All the support goes to the production of the channel for better content. Now let's get into the video. What's going on, guys? In today's video, we are going to be discussing what if Gohan trained like Son Goku. As we know, all throughout Dragon Ball, Gohan has a soft side, to where he doesn't have that Saiyan instinct to train constantly, and to constantly improve himself and grow even more powerful than ever before. Like his father, Goku trains almost every single part of the day. That's all he does, is eat, sleep, and train. He hardly does anything else other than farming. But what if Gohan has decided to train like his father? Or maybe he's just born this way, just like his father, and even like Goten, who always wants to play and fight. This will greatly change the story, as we know how broken Gohan's potential is, especially when he becomes a grown man, as even as a child, he was able to keep up with his own father. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get into it. Most of Dragon Ball events would happen the exact same. We are going to cut towards the Raditz saga. Now Raditz here would still show up like before, and he would meet Son Goku and explain the Saiyan heritage. He would still attack Krillin with his tail, slapping him into Kami's house. But now in this what if though, Gohan here is actually a bit more powerful than he originally was. Let me explain. At least for 1 to 2 years, Goku has been lightly training Gohan, as Gohan has little to no interest in training under Chi-Chi. She doesn't want to listen to her tutelage, as this infuriated Chi-Chi, as Gohan would always sneak out and always have a tantrum and freak out whenever Chi-Chi tries to make him do schoolwork. Now this doesn't mean that Gohan is dumb, as Gohan was already very intelligent to begin with as a young boy. But I do feel like Gohan here, his main focus is training. He wants to be just like his dad and be a martial artist. So especially over the next year, Goku would have been training Gohan, teaching him about survival, a bit more nicely than Piccolo did, but Gohan can already take care of himself at that age, as Gohan here can already survive on his own, and not to mention, he's pretty strong. Gohan here has a power level of 100. He's weaker than Krillin and Master Roshi, and he doesn't have the same martial arts or techniques and skills that they do, but his raw power alone and his potential is incredible. Goku has seen this as well, as Gohan has shown rage a few times, and his power level has spiked beyond what even his power level was. This made Goku beyond excited to train his son, and he's proud that his son is following in his footsteps, as he's going to do better to be a father. So, Raditz here would not have taken Gohan so easily, as Gohan would have been able to actually get out of his grasp, which had actually surprised Raditz as his scouter were at a power level of 100. He was impressed the little brat had a little bit of power in him, but of course it's nothing compared to him, and he's weaker than his father. He would have still knocked out Goku in one elbow attack, and he would have still taken Gohan, now having a tighter grip. In this what if though, he would have thrown Gohan into the space pod, as Gohan here is still a 5-year-old boy. So he would be terrified and not knowing what to do, as this guy, Gohan could not beat him up or do anything. This guy was terrifying. Gohan tried hitting him as hard as he could, but nothing would have happened to Raditz. Goku would have still teamed up with Piccolo, and they would have still arrived to fight Raditz. But now in this what if, once when Gohan watches his father get brutally beaten by Raditz, and he is filled with intense and utter rage, Gohan's power level spikes. Gohan here had a power level of roughly around 1,200 to 1,300, and it gravely wounded Raditz. Now because of this, Piccolo was still charging up the special beam cannon, but I do still feel like Raditz would still dodge the attack. But because of this, Gohan, having the rage and being much more stronger than he was originally, instead of a power level around 1,000 to 3,000, Raditz's scouter would have read over 3,000, as Gohan would have rammed right into him, and it would have actually killed Raditz. This greatly changed the story, as Goku never goes to meet King Kai. This means that he would never know about Kaioken or the Spirit Bomb. But this also means that, well, what are we going to do about Raditz? Raditz was still alive for at least a minute right afterwards, as he would still tell them about how there's two Saiyans more powerful. Now, they never spoke about the Dragon Ball since Goku never died, but I do still feel like Vegeta and Nappa would still have the courage to probably want to go to Earth to check out that these, of course, half-breeds, these hybrids, are powerful enough to knock out Raditz that easily. This might interest them, so they're going to beeline head straight towards Earth. Bulma would have still gotten Raditz's scouter, and the events would have still played out the exact same. The only difference here is that they would know that the Saiyans are coming, as via Bulma can listen to the intercoms from the scouter, and more. And Raditz of course warned them, so now they don't know exactly when, but Bulma, through listening to communications, basically gauged out that they might have a year or so, but she doesn't know exactly, maybe even less. So because of this, Goku would actually take Gohan to the next level of his training. As Piccolo would follow along a little bit, but he would do mostly the training solo, as he doesn't want to fight alongside his enemy. Goku would then take Gohan to go train under Korin, and Gohan would have drank the Ultra Divine Water. Now we do know that Goku had a power level of around 180 when he fought Demon King Piccolo, and he was easily defeated. Once he drank the Ultra Divine Water, he basically had a power level around 260. Now this affects people differently, but for what if purposes, he got around 1.4 times stronger, but we're going to even it out to 1.5 because it's Gohan. So if Gohan had a power level of 100, and of course if he times that by 1.5, that would give him a power level of around 150. So, of course, that's not a massive boost in terms of power, so what are we going to do for Gohan? Well, it does increase his power level a little bit, but it's not enough to really impress Goku. Gohan needs much more. So, after he drank the Ultra Divine Water to boost his power a little bit, they would then take Gohan up to Kami, as now Kami can train Gohan and help him alongside with Popo, and they can grow stronger together on Kami's lookout. Now Chi-Chi was furious that she was not told about this, but Goku would have explained to her what's going to happen, and that Chi-Chi can come stay with them for the time being on Kami's lookout, while Gohan can train alongside his father. And Goku promises Chi-Chi that after the Saiyans arrive and they defeat them, Gohan can focus a bit more on his studies like she wanted. And Gohan would even agree, saying, "I'll do that, Mom, if you let me get stronger with Dad. I promise I'll get smarter, I promise." Chi-Chi would agree, as she can't tackle both Goku and her son both arguing with her, so she would just have to accept it. But now Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and more would even come visit to help train as well. So I do still feel like Goku, even though he's not training under 10 times gravity, he is training with 4 other people, including his son, who's rapidly catching up to his power level. I do still feel like Goku could get an arguably similar boost in power. But now there is one thing that they could always use. Especially near the end of the year, once when Vegeta and Nappa are soon going to arrive, they don't know the exact date of course, they would then go into the hyperbolic time chamber. All of the Earthlings and everybody else would then take turns, as Popo has now readied up the time chamber and it was ready to be used. Now we don't know multipliers for how strong they would be, but if him and Gohan trained in 10 times gravity for over a year, you could argue that it could be similar to King Kai's training. So if him and Goku trained together alongside with other friends for over a year, I would comfortably put Goku and Gohan at a power level of around 1000 to 1500, the same as Raditz. Now we could do a bare minimum and say that they got at least 12 to 15 times stronger because of the room. So 12 times stronger, that gives them a power level of 18,000, so I would give Goku a power level of 18,000, and I would give Gohan a power level of roughly around 10 to 12,000. Now as we know, of course, Goku for the most part was training Gohan for that year to further control his power even more, but to also mainly control his rage, as Gohan can harness his rage and increase his strength tenfold. The Saiyans would soon arrive, as this time Goku was never late, so that means that most of the Z-Fighters would not die in battle. Now you could argue that Vegeta and Nappa would still spawn the Cybermen, but I don't think they would, as why would they need to, as they don't have time to waste, of course, for 2 hours. So the fight would instantly begin, with Gohan actually stepping up to fight Nappa. Gohan was a bit nervous, but Goku would reassure his son, telling him that do not be afraid, remember our training. You can easily take down that big bully, Gohan, I know you can. So Gohan would then tighten his fist and believe in himself. Nappa would then laugh and then charge in for a punch, as it was almost like slow motion to Gohan. Raditz was really slow. Gohan would have easily dodged the attack and delivered a powerful gut punch to Nappa, knocking him through several mountains. This even surprised Gohan, as he thought that Nappa guy was a lot more powerful, but he was easily being defeated. Vegeta was utterly shocked to see that that young boy got that strong in a single year. As he would tap his scouter, he would be shocked to see that he has a power level of 12,000. That's utterly ridiculous. There's no way that that brat, who's born of a low-class hybrid, is close enough to even his power level getting even near it. There's no way. Even surpassing Nappa, that's ridiculous. Nappa would have gotten enough furious. He would have flew at Gohan, continuing his flurry of attacks, but Gohan now has that confidence within him. As Krillin cheers him on, Gohan would have easily dispatched of Nappa. I do not feel like Gohan would have killed him, but Gohan would have fired on Masenko, and it would have hit him full force, and it would have knocked Nappa through another boulder, crashing down on him as he was out for the count, currently. Vegeta was furious that that young boy was able to defeat him, as they were right, but maybe this was a mistake. But of course, power level 12,000, if he's potentially the strongest here, Vegeta should be able to handle him no problem. As then, he looks at Kakarot, who would then challenge Vegeta to a fight, and he wants to do this alone. He would then be placed far off from them, as he would be placed on the rocky wasteland. But now Vegeta would say this is a great place for you to spawn your grave, as Goku would then smirk, and Goku begin powering up. Vegeta's face went into pure shock, as Goku's power level matched his exactly. At around 18,000, their powers were matched. Vegeta was shocked that Goku was able to match his power. That's impossible. There's no way that a low class can surpass and keep up with a super elite. They would begin their battle, as Vegeta was a very skilled fighter, but I do feel like them being evenly matched, Goku would actually have the slight edge, having far more gifted in martial arts and having more skill in terms of fighting. He also has much more techniques than Vegeta has, but there is one downside. Vegeta has the moon ability. But the fight would be very close, and it's one-sided on each. But then of course, Goku I feel like would begin getting on the losing end, as Vegeta's pure brutality would start to overwhelm Goku. As Vegeta would then laugh, both were absolutely exhausted, as Gohan would have then jumped in to save his father. As him and Gohan would have then double-teamed Vegeta, and Vegeta was still able to hold his own for a little while, but it was far too much for the Saiyan Prince. As he was beginning to get overwhelmed, he would then run out of options and jump into the air and charge a Gallic Gun. Goku here, who was completely exhausted alongside Gohan as well, they don't know if they can block this attack, as his power was enormous. Goku here does not have Kaioken or a Spirit Bomb, so how would he be able to deflect this attack? Goku would then have no choice, as he would then summon a Kamehameha wave charging as slowly, as Gohan would then copy his father. But then standing next to him would actually be Krillin, and then Tien, and even Piccolo. And then surprisingly, even Master Roshi would show up, as he said he doesn't want to miss the party. And even though he might not prove that useful, he's not going to let his students fight this battle alone. As Master Roshi would then go into his buff form, and he would help them out one last time, he would then charge up his full power Kamehameha wave as well, and all of them would then fire an attack as the Z Fighters work together as a team. This attack would easily blast through the Gallic Gun, and it would hit Vegeta full force, launching him into the air. Everybody was exhausted, but Goku can sense that Vegeta was alive. Barely. As Vegeta would be completely out of breath and completely exhausted, he would diminish his power even less as he would summon a fake moon, throwing it into the air and becoming a great ape. Now Nappa, who was actually just waking up, would laugh and look at the fake moon as he would then transform. Now there's two great apes. Now they are not at their full strength. You could argue that Vegeta has a power level of around 80,000 and Nappa has a power level of around 30,000 to maybe 20,000. They would then laugh, and they would start picking apart the Z Fighters one by one very quickly. But now Tien would then help them out by using a solar flare technique and would blind the Great Apes so they can plan the next attack. They know that the tails are the weak point. Krillin thinks that if he can get close enough, he can maybe cut the tails off. And funny enough, guess who else is there? Yajirobe. Yajirobe states that he has a low power level, they might not be able to sense him or see him coming, he can maybe cut his tail off right in time. As they think this is a good idea, him and Krillin would then run off to be prepared, as Goku and the other Z Fighters would distract the Great Apes so they can get their tails removed. It was proving very difficult, as the Great Apes were lightning fast, as they were able to catch Goku and Gohan, tossing them through a mountain, as Goku would actually be holding up boulders so it does not crush him and Gohan. But now Gohan would then look through the small crack of a rock and look up at the fake moon. As Goku, who is gravely injured, would then see his son Gohan starting to convulse as Gohan begins growing. Gohan then transforms into a great ape. He doesn't attack his father, but Gohan was completely mindless, but he would then aim his sights at Nappa and Vegeta. Now Gohan here, even though he was exhausted, he has a battle power of at least 6,000 still, which is half of his power. Even as a great ape at 60,000, he would have overpowered Nappa. Now, during the overpower with Nappa, Gohan would have grabbed Nappa and fired a massive mouth blast, and it would have completely blown his head off, killing Nappa. Vegeta would then easily overpower Gohan, who though is very powerful, Vegeta has full control of his Grade 8 form, using techniques, and he is a bit more stronger than Gohan, but it's the distraction that they need. As Gohan was badly injured on the ground as Vegeta stomped on his chest, he then begins charging up a mouth beam, as Son Goku would then distract him by jumping in front of him and shooting a ki beam in his eye. But then, this gives him enough time, as Yajirobe would then jump in and cut Vegeta's tail off. Vegeta would then revert back to normal, but the fight was not over yet, as the Z Fighters were completely exhausted, but Vegeta still had fight left in him. Goku would then hand his son Gohan over to Krillin, and then look back at Vegeta as the two would continue their fight, as Goku was now fighting for his son's life. The fight would be brutal, but Goku would then have the upper hand, getting the final blow on Vegeta, as then Yajirobe again would help Goku by slashing Vegeta in the back, which would give Goku enough energy to use the last of his ki and blast Vegeta right back into his ship. Now Vegeta knows that he's defeated. As the Z Fighters then surround him, Goku would then stop him and say, "No, let him go, because I want to defeat him on my own one day." They don't understand why, as Piccolo was going to do it, but it was too late, as Vegeta would then laugh and take off, as he would now flee. But now because of this, none of the Z Fighters died. So would Frieza ever show up? No. Frieza would never have no interest in the Dragon Balls, as he never heard about them before. They never spoke about it for Raditz, and they never spoke about it to Vegeta either, because none of the Z Fighters have died here in this battle. Son Gohan would then wake up back at his house, and Chi-Chi was super relieved, crying, holding her son. And of course, she told Gohan that he better start studying so he can at least pass a few classes. But she understands that Gohan can get a little bit of training in if he does good on his studying. Gohan promises as he begins to start studying, but of course, seeing his father training outside, Gohan would quickly wrap up a test and then run outside to continue training. And that is it for this one. If you guys, thank y'all for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this story. I have some great ideas for Gohan and his adventure alongside his father Goku, and that Gohan wants to train and become stronger. Anyway, I appreciate all the support. Make sure this video gets enough like goals so I can continue it. So make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, continue watching it, comment please, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys do. Thank y'all for the support, and I'll talk to you all later.